In this video, we want to solve this system of equations by graphing. So we'll first identify the two functions that we are given. So the very first function, y minus the quantity x plus 2 squared is equal to 0, that's going to be a parabola when we graph it. Notice we have an x squared and y is raised to the first power. And in fact, when we go to graph that parabola, it's going to be easier to isolate y. So we will add the quantity x plus 2 squared to both sides, which will give us y equals the quantity x plus 2 squared. Now our second function that we're graphing is an absolute value function. And we'll review how to graph that in just a moment. So let's go ahead and start with the parabola. So this particular parabola, y equals the quantity x plus 2 squared, is written in what we call shifted form or vertex form. And so we know that this is going to be a parabola that has been shifted to the left 2, assuming that you've already studied transformations. And if we shift left 2, then that means that the vertex of the parabola is going to be at -2, 0. Remember, there's really a plus 0 out here, which means there has not been a vertical shift at all. So let's go ahead and plot the vertex at -2, 0. And then the parent function for this parabola is just a y equals x squared function. So a plain y equals x squared parabola. So this graph is going to have the exact same shape, except it has been shifted to the left 2. So let's do some quick review. If we were to think about graphing a y equals x squared parabola, we know when we put in 0, we get out 0. And when we put in 1 for x, 1 squared is going to give us 1. And when we put in 2 for x, 2 squared will be 4. So from the vertex, we would go to the right 2 and we'd go up 4. And then same on the other side. From the vertex, if we were to go left 1, then we go up 1. And if we were to go left 2, then we would go up 4. So just talking about the review part of graphing a basic y equals x squared parabola, because we're going to use that same strategy here for the parabola that's been shifted left 2. So I'm going to basically be treating my vertex, -2, 0. I'll be treating that like that's my new origin, if you will. So from the vertex at -2, 0, I'm going to go right 1, up 1, and plot a point, and left 1, up 1, and plot a point, because 1 squared is 1. And then from the vertex, I'm going to go right 2. So I'm going to show you I'm traveling right 2, but 2 squared is 4, so then I'll go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's going to allow me to plot the point here. This happens to be the point 0, 4. Then we'll do the same thing. From the vertex, we'll travel left 2 and up 4 to plot the mirror image point. And then since I do have room on this particular coordinate plane from the vertex, I'll go ahead and go right 3. So if I were to go right 3, 1, 2, 3, that would put me at x equals 1. And then 3 squared is 9, so I will be going up 9 to plot my next point. And then same thing from the vertex, going left 3, 1, 2, 3, and up 9 will allow me to plot those last 2 points on my parabola. So that's just a little review of how I generally have you guys graph parabolas using the transformations, the understanding that it's been shifted to the left 2. So now let's move on to the absolute value function. To graph this absolute value function, we also want to isolate y. So we'll go ahead and subtract the absolute value of x plus 4 from both sides. So we'll have y equals negative absolute value of x plus 4 plus 8. So this is also a shifted absolute value function, and this particular function has 3 different transformations. So we notice that we have an x plus 4, which is going to be a shift to the left 4. Then we have the -1 being multiplied out in front, multiplied by the absolute value. That will cause a reflection. So we know that this graph is going to be basically opening down. So it's a reflection specifically over the x-axis. And then we have the plus 8, which is going to be a vertical shift up 8. So including that review from past classes where you did your transformations. And then remembering our parent function, the basic absolute value function, which is y equals the absolute value of x. So thinking about that graph, if I put in 0, we get 0. The absolute value of 1 is 1. The absolute value of 2 is 2. So we know the right-hand side of the graph is a nice line. And then if we look at the left side, the absolute value of -1 is +1, and the absolute value of -2 is +2. So the left side is also a line, which creates this V shape. And remember that the slope of the two branches, the slope of the right-hand side is equal to 1, and the slope of the left-hand side is -1. And that slope is going to be useful when we try to graph the absolute value here. We're going to try to graph it all in one step instead of doing 3 individual steps. So let's start by identifying the vertex. If it used to be 0, 0, but we have shifted to the left 4 and up 8, then that means we're going to have a vertex at -4, 8. And then we recognize that this V is going to open down because of the reflection over the x-axis. And then we can use the idea of the branches having a slope of +1 and -1 to build the rest of our absolute value graph. So from this vertex, I'm going to go right 1, down 1, right 1, down 1. And I'm going to keep doing that repetitively till I have a good number of points here. And if you were doing this on paper, you'd want to use a straight edge to go ahead and connect these. So here's the right-hand side of my V. And then I'll also, from the vertex, go left 1, down 1, and continue left 1, down 1, and get the left-hand side of my V. So there's my absolute value function. And then finally, because this is a system of equations, we're interested in finding the intersection points. So it looks like we have 2 intersections. I'm going to circle them here in green. Now the intersection on the right-hand side, that looks to be exactly 0, 4. So one of our solutions to the system of equations will be the point 0, 4. However, if I look at the solution here that's on the left side, that doesn't look to be nice integer values, or what you might consider nice numbers. It looks like that intersection is going to be a decimal value. So we'll just approximate that intersection. So the x value of that intersection looks to be something between -4 and -5. Maybe I'll call that -4.6, let's say. And then the y value looks to be a number between 7 and 8, but closer to 7. So maybe I'll call that about 7.2. So if your instructor were asking you to solve this system by hand graphically, then they would normally accept some variety of answers for this second ordered pair because you're just estimating these decimal values. And that's one reason why we do a problem like this, because it's nice to see that there's obviously a drawback to solving a system graphically. There's going to be human error as we graph these by hand, and if the intersections are not good integer values, then we're going to be doing some estimation for sure.